Hey guys, in today's video, I'm going to be doing an install of this Voswitch relay and fuse panel along with this switch panel. If you're new here, welcome to the channel and don't forget to subscribe. So this kit here is the Voswitch JL300. This is designed to take the place of where the factory auxiliary switches would go, and it comes with 6 switches instead of just the auxiliary 4 switches that you would normally get from the factory. I did not get the auxiliary switches when I bought my Gladiator. I didn't feel like it was something I wanted, the extra $1,000 on top of what I was already paying for the Gladiator, when this kit is a fraction of the price. Now, I did buy this kit with my own money. If you're interested in this kit, go ahead and check out the link in the description below. Now, Voswitch has provided you with everything that you need. This here is their smart controller. You've got your power wire in from the battery, as well as a ground wire and an auxiliary wire over here, and I'll get to that on install. Inside, we've got our relays as well as a bunch of 30 amp fuses. If the device that you're plugging in does not need 30 amp fuse, go ahead and swap it out. That way you don't burn up your device. You keep it safe at whatever amperage your device requires. Something I like about this kit is there is a very minimal amount of wires running into the cab. It's a real small wire about this big. All you got to do is get your plug through wherever you want it to go through at. And then this is it. This is the entire switch panel. So instead of having a giant rocker switch panel that's about this long, really bulky, has a bunch of wires in it, this is all you need. Now, if your Gladiator did not come with factory lockers, they also provide this little cubby here. That way, when you put your switch panel in, you can retain a portion of that cubby space. Something else I like about this switch panel is it is fully customizable. They provide all of these different stickers here. It says rear lights, front lights, bumper lights, Sasquatch lights, alien lights, fully customizable. You just take your little sticker off and you can place it right on top. There is one of each on this, as well as one of each on a second sheet that they provided. That way I can have 2 switches labeled exactly the same if I need to. But what I like is these probably won't last forever, and when I wear them out, I'll have a whole nother sheet ready to go. On top of all that, they have provided some zip ties as well as some extra hardware that we're going to need on install. Oh, and instructions. They gave me instructions, which no matter how many times I've read these over and over and over, I'm going to have to read them again. All right, now it's time to jump under the hood. Installation under the hood is really simple. All we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and remove this bolt right here. This is a fender bolt. We're going to pull it out and we're going to reuse this bolt, and they provide a second bolt for the other part of this mount. And there we go. It is mounted. And now it's time for wiring. Off the box, you're going to have a ground wire, a small red wire, and then your main power wire. What you're going to want to do is you're going to want to run the larger one all the way across over to the battery, and then the red one you want to run across over there closer to the fuse panel, and I'll describe more on that once I get these wires ran. What I got for wiring so far. This here is the main power wire. What I've done is I've run it along and then came across to this plastic piece here. This is just a giant plastic protector protecting a wire loom underneath. I ran some large zip ties all the way around it and mounted it to it just like so, and then ran it all the way over. You can also run it up way up high up here. It doesn't really matter. You can also run it underneath the cowl, but it will not be long enough to go all the way to the battery, so you will have to add some wires. Up here, this is all open space. The hood contacts this padding right here. This weather stripping is where the hood contacts, so you have plenty of room to mount whatever you want up here if that's how you decide to do it. Now the red wire, I ran it underneath, looped around, and actually fed it through the inside of this plastic wire loom protector, along with a couple other wires I plan on using for some accessories. And just so you can see over here on the passenger side, I have my zip ties here. I put them really close to my fuse block. The fuse block is mountable, but do not drill into the plastic because there's wires back there, and obviously that's a bad idea. I've ran it along. I have it zip tied to another power wire that is factory and ran it up and mounted it right to my battery post here. And I still need to trim my zip ties, as you can see. Now the red wire pops out right over here, and I'll show you guys what we're going to do with that later after I finish the install. So for my ground wire, as well as some grounding for my lights, I really like that there is a spare post right here. This will work great for the ground. Now this here is the cable for the switches. In the instructions, it says what you can do is you can run it along. You can go up underneath this here, fold the windshield down ever so slightly, and then run it into the cab and put the windshield back in place. Me, I'm not going to do that. I have some other wiring I need to run. And right down on the center of your screen there, right there, that is a little plastic puck that can be drilled out or knocked out. And I'm going to run my wires through that, and it comes out right next to the brake pedal. All right, so it's time to start taking apart the dash. What we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and remove this upper trim piece here. This whole assembly comes off in one shot. You can unplug it if you want to, but you just pry around it carefully, pull this off, and then that will give us access to this lower portion here. And then with that off, we do have a screw right here we need to remove, and then this should pry forward. Now, this piece here is what we're going to be removing. We got this cubby here. This is where I was saying, if you don't have a model that has the lockers or the off-road button, it gives you a plastic piece to replace all of this area here if you don't have these switches. If you do have these switches, don't worry about that extra cubby. But what we're going to do is we're going to remove this cubby right here. And in order to do so, we do have some small hex head screws that we need to remove. And then your panel is going to mount in place of this. And then the switch panel should just set in place. And put your bolts back in. And now all that's left is I need to route my wires. My plug is right over here. I don't see a whole lot of open space around right here. But this opening right here is pretty much a straight shot all the way down. So I'm going to go ahead and route my wires, poke it up through here. And then any excess I have, I'll go ahead and coil up underneath the dash on the driver's side over here. So I'm going to get that routed, get everything plugged in, and then just put all this back together, and I'll finish up the wiring under the hood. And look at that, all done, and it looks clean. So you can see I've got my wires in there. Everything is ran down to that grounding block there, down to that grounding block there. And then I've got some wires over there I need to dress up, and I'll show you what's going on with that. So finally, I'm going to go over what's up with the extra red wire. This is so that your switch system only activates when the keyed ignition is on. How this works is they give you this pigtail right here, and then how you hook it up is, let's say you remove the cigarette lighter fuse, this would plug into that, and then you would put your cigarette lighter fuse next to it, and this would be your pigtail to allow keyed power. Me personally, I'm not going to be doing keyed power for mine, but I wanted to run this over here just in case I do change my mind, so I'm just going to tuck it over here and zip tie it out of the way. So all wired up, lights work, lights out there work. I'm pretty excited. I do like how this power button over here can be used as a master switch. So you want to shut everything off. It remembers the last state it was in. So when you turn it back on, all your lights or whatever you want on comes on. Now something I don't see a lot of people talk about when it comes to these is they're programmable. There's a bunch of different settings you can go through with these. So I'm going to shut this off, and I'm going to show you guys how it works. We got our power on. You're going to press and hold the power button for a few seconds. And now we're going to click the switch we want to program. So I want to program switch 1. I click it once. This is solid on. I can click it again. And now it's set to a momentary, so you can wire a horn off of this switch. Or if you just want a quick burst for whatever reason, you can program that. Click it again, and it changes to a flasher. I kind of like this feature, but it doesn't quite flash fast enough. So we have a strobe. So if you have a bunch of lights hooked up doing different things, you can set them all to strobe and it will go nuts. And now we're right back to solid on. And then we can just go ahead and hold in the power button. And it remembers our programming. So I have my power on. And then over here is my momentary, which I have wired to change a couple of my bumper lights. So that's it. And now I just need to decide what stickers I want on here so that I can differentiate between my switches. And just like that, we're all done. If you're interested in this product, I'll go ahead and leave a link down in the description below. Tell me what you guys think. Anyway, that's going to be it for this video. If you liked it, make sure you give it a thumbs up. As always, don't forget to subscribe down there. You can check me out on TikTok at It's Project Venture, as well as Instagram at It's Project Venture. Thanks for watching.